Hello YouTubers, this is the Giant Awakens, and today I want to ask the question, is Iran purposely trying to drag us into a war? Both sides, things are starting to escalate. The saber rattling is getting, worse every day. But I'm playing devil's advocate here today and trying to think, why would Iran, purposely do this? Why would they purposely announce that they've creating nuclear technology, want to create a nuclear power plant, when they're like I believe the third or fourth biggest exporter of oil in the world? Why? They certainly don't need nuclear energy, so why would they announce this to the world, that they're working on creating this? Why would they, why would the president of Iran go on numerous times talking about how he wants Israel wiped off the face of the earth? So, I think he's just saying this to induce, the U.S. to come over and do the first strike. I mean, like we did in Iraq, knowing full well that Iran, I believe, has the full backing of the Russians and the Chinese. So it's like having a schoolyard bully, bullying some kid every day, and one day the little boy, reaches out to some fellow schoolmates older, and decides, he's going to bring them next time the bully says something. So the next time around the bully shows up, what happens? He's got two bodyguards there that are going to back him up, and he's not going to do anything. So I think this is exactly what Iran is counting on, that we try to strike them, knowing full well that the Russians and the Chinese are going to back them up. Because think for a second, why would Iran close the Strait of Hormuz? I mean, oil is their biggest export. I mean, that's pretty much, I'd say, 90% of their economy is from oil. So why in the heck would they want to close that strait? The U.S. keeps saying, oh, they're going to close the strait, they're going to close the strait. They're not going to close that strait. That's, that would be economic suicide for the Iranians to close that strait. So I firmly believe the U.S. wants to go in there. I mean, this is set up just like Iraq. I mean, every day they have a nuclear weapon. They're closer to a nuclear weapon. They're gonna get it. It's just a matter of time before we strike. But I think this time around, the U.S. wants the Iranians to strike first. They don't want to go in like we did in Iraq, knowing full well that there wasn't. They couldn't find any weapons of mass destruction there, and how it looked on the administration looked horrible. So this time they want the Iranians to strike us first, or sink one of the oil tankers, or do something to disrupt the flow of oil in the region, do something major over there. So I wouldn't be surprised if our government does a false flag, something in that region of the world. Something, oil tanker goes down, one of our small ships gets hit, something happens. Don't be surprised, because I don't think we're going to go in there and strike first if something happens, if the Iranians don't do anything. So we're not going to go in there like Iraq. This is not going to be set up like Iraq, because that looked like a total failure after. So I feel the Iranians are just pushing up the rhetoric on their end too, because they don't want to be the first ones to strike. They want the U.S. to strike first if they're going to strike, and that way, like I said, they have the backing of the Russians and the Chinese to back them up. Because certainly, the Chinese get a lot of oil from the Iranians, so do the Russians, so does different parts of Asia, the South Koreans, Japanese. So I mean, that whole region would be affected if the Strait of Hormuz was closed. So it's in the best benefit of the Iranians to keep that open. There's no sense in keeping that closed. So that's my opinion on the whole thing, the way it's playing out right now. If you have any comments, please post them at the end of this video. If you haven't signed up for my YouTube channel yet, please do. And everyone have a great day, and thanks for listening.